Hi, very good morning. I'm Dr. Janak Patel, MD, General Physician. In continuity with the ECG series, today I'm going to discuss regarding ST segment elevation. This will be very useful to all third year student, fourth year student, exam going students for oral exam as well as for your theory exams. Also, it will be very useful when you go to your private practice or if you go for a service in ICU, intensive care unit or ICCU or acute care unit. Absolutely of importance. I'll try to cover up as much as possible in ST segment elevation. Some of the parts of this ST segment elevation will be covering up in a STEMI equivalent. In this, I'll not be discussing in detail regarding a STEMI equivalent. We might have a little highlight of it, but we'll be discussing separately in a STEMI equivalent and STEMI mimics. It is always there, the more you look at the more and more number of ECG, you will know more and more, and always listen to a person who is explaining you. So you will remember for lifetime. Whenever you see ST segment elevation, the first thing always comes in your mind is regarding what we call as acute coronary syndrome and particularly STEMI. So we'll be trying to discuss in detail regarding that STEMI part and what are the other conditions which can also produce ST segment elevation. Little introduction regarding ischemic heart disease. You will have a stable angina. It can present as a acute coronary syndrome, and in acute coronary syndrome, STEMI, non-STEMI, unstable angina and sudden cardiac death. Other way of presentation as far as the chronic stage is concerned, cardiomyopathy, congestive heart failure, conduction disturbances or we call cardiac arrhythmias, or may even present as sudden cardiac death, and it can present also as asymptomatic. So this is a wide variety of presentation. Stable angina, acute coronary syndrome which can present as STEMI, sudden cardiac death, unstable angina, non-STEMI, can present as a cardiomyopathy, cardiac arrhythmia, congestive heart failure, and can also present as sudden cardiac death. The most common presentation is as stable angina, occasionally as asymptomatic group. Stable angina, you can have another variant, we call it a variant angina or prismatal angina, vasospastic angina. There are other terms also utilized in different varieties of angina like decubitus angina, nocturnal angina, angina mimics, etc. In acute coronary syndrome, unstable angina or we call pre-infarction or crescendo angina. The another we call is a STEMI and non-STEMI. STEMI is transmural or Q-wave MI. Also there is another group we call MINOCA, that is myocardial infarction, non-occlusive coronary artery. While non-STEMI is labeled as non-transmural, non-Q-wave MI or also as a subendocardial infarct. Occasionally it can present as a silent MI or we call painless MI, and once in a while as a sudden cardiac death. We already mentioned in a previous slide, chronic ischemic heart disease can present as congestive heart failure, cardiac arrhythmia, cardiomyopathy or as a sudden cardiac death. To differentiate the three, that is unstable angina, STEMI, non-STEMI and unstable angina. In STEMI, there will be ST segment elevation with Q wave appearance and cardiac marker, that is troponin, will be positive. While in a non-STEMI, there will be ST depression, may be with or without T wave changes. By and large, there is always T wave changes. Plus, you will have a cardiac markers positive and there will be persistent chest pain. While in case of unstable angina, you will have a ST segment, may be isoelectric, and there will be T wave inversion, which is quite common, symmetrical T wave inversion, but cardiomarker will be negative. And unstable angina pain will be lasting little longer as compared to stable angina. As far as elevated ST segment elevation is concerned, you will come across in case of acute MI, we call STEMI, and variant angina. This will be the two big groups. Also, you will come across in a group where we put them into a common condition where it is little difficult to diagnose as acute MI, but there are clear-cut ST changes in the form of STEMI. We call that as STEMI equivalent, but it does not fulfill the complete criteria of STEMI. And there will be another group where you might have an ST segment elevation, but it does not involve coronary artery perfusion. So those group we call as a STEMI mimics. We'll be discussing these two topics separately in other lectures. We'll have a separate lectures on that. Now you can see the different types of ST elevation. This is convex, this is almost flat, this is called tombstone appearance, and this is upsloping. And there is a ST segment asymmetrical elevation. Whenever you get a concave elevation, it is usually benign, and that goes in STEMI mimics. But when it is convex, like this is convex, this is convex, it is we call frowny or dangerous. It is in favor of STEMI. These are all the different varieties: concave, oblique, convex, and plateau. Different words which are being utilized. I'll skip this slide. So we always say concave ST elevation is always having a better prognosis because they are usually non-ischemic. Classical example, pericarditis and early repolarization. While convex is usually STEMI, and being STEMI, if not diagnosed, if not treated, if you don't do revascularization, and if even revascularization is done and if it is not successful, it will end up with complications. So always whenever there is a ST elevation, do take it seriously and follow properly. There are a lot of conditions where there will be ST elevation. We are always interested in STEMI, that is ST elevated MI. There will be other condition in LBBB, LVH. You can have ST elevation. Particularly, you will have an ST segment elevation in right side chest lid in left bundle branch block, that is V1, V2, V3. In LVH also you can have a ST elevation good number of time in V1, V2, V3, and also in case of early repolarization you can have a ST elevation with concavity upward in case of V1, V2, V3. In pericarditis there will be ST elevation in lot number of lids, we call global changes. In LV aneurysm it will be more elevated in V2, V3. In vasospastic angina also you can have an ST elevation along with T wave tall. In severe hyperkalemia also there will be slight ST elevation with tall T wave and broad QRS complex. In hypothermia there will be J point elevation with Osborn wave. In Brugada syndrome, ST elevation will be there with curved up down sloping ST segment, and it will be seen again in V1, V2. And in Takasubo also you can have, or we call stress cardiomyopathy, you will have ST elevation in chestlets. So whenever there is an ST elevation, along with that there is also a J point elevation, which is quite common in septal MI. You can come across in other condition also, where there is an ST segment elevation like cardiomyopathy, pericarditis, hypercalcemia, hyperkalemia, acute pulmonary embolism, subarachnoid hemorrhage, tricyclic antidepressant, intoxication. In this condition also you can have a ST segment elevation. So these are all the conditions where you can have an ST segment elevation. These are usually ST segment elevation equivalents and mimics. As far as equivalent is concerned, those group will be where there is a chance of a STEMI, like Whelan syndrome, De Winter syndrome, then we call left main coronary artery LMCA equivalents, those groups, those we call as ST segment equivalents. These are ST segment elevated mimics like left ventricular aneurysm, Brugada, hyperkalemia, hypothermia, CNS pathophysiology like raised intracranial pressure, pericarditis, benign early repolarization, LVH, LBBB. Then Segorba's criteria in presence of, or we call acute MI in presence of left bundle branch block will come in STEMI equivalent. Also in cardiac pacing with acute MI will come in equivalent groups. Prinzmetal angina will be one of the variety of equivalent groups. Also you can put all other will be post electrical cardioversion, etc. Those will be all in mimics. We'll be dealing separately in that particular things. So ST elevation, always consider STEMI unless proven otherwise. So first thing, whenever you get a ST elevation, think that it is more in favor of STEMI. Try to rule out, and then only you can put into what we call as a mimics or equivalent. So to label that as a STEMI, clinical presentation is very important. So if any person who comes to you with a severe chest pain, which is radiating to the left upper arm and inner side of the arm, person is having typical Levine sign, there is profuse prostration like in the form of excessive sweating, person is having little nausea, vomiting, the pain is lasting for a longer period, it is in the precordial region, it is not relieved by rest, it is not relieved by sublingual nitroglycerin. Think in terms of STEMI in presence of ST elevation. So chest pain, good history will help you to differentiate ischemic from non-ischemic, or we call non-cardiac. Very rarely the person will present as an asymptomatic, or we call as a silent MI, or maybe silent ischemic heart disease group, where you detect ischemic heart disease during routine checkup. By and large, they will present as an ischemic heart disease with chest pain. That chest pain will be peculiar of stable angina, or maybe unstable angina, or non-STEMI, and very rarely they can present as a sudden cardiac death. As far as the pain characteristic is concerned, in unstable angina, non-STEMI and STEMI, it is nearly same, except in unstable angina, you will come across ST segment, maybe isoelectric or maybe slightly depressed with symmetrical T wave inversion. In non-STEMI, there will be again ST segment depression with symmetrical T wave inversion. But difference between unstable and non-STEMI is in unstable angina, troponin will be negative, while in a non-STEMI, troponin will be positive. We call cardiac biomarker will be positive. While in STEMI, there will be ST segment elevation with Q wave appearance, or in a very, very early stage, you can have a hyperacute T wave, tall T wave, hyperacute tall, asymmetrical tented T wave. So that will be in favor of STEMI and their troponin will be positive. So history, physical examination, ECG, TMT will be useful in stable angina. TMT cannot be done in an acute coronary syndrome. Troponin, CPKMB, LDH1, usually SGOT is not done. Even LDH1 is not commonly done, either troponin or CPKMB. These two cardiac biomarker will be very useful to differentiate unstable from non-STEMI and STEMI. So it will be absolutely useful. Further confirmation of severity, how severe the damage to the coronary artery, how much is the occlusion, how many arteries are occluded, angiography, or you go for CT angio. Nowadays CT angio or MRI angio is preferred. And in case of chronic conditions, you can go for cardiac scan or PET scan to find out the viability of myocardium, or viable or non-viable myocardium. You can differentiate. In ECG, we have already mentioned before ST segment elevation, you will have a tall hyperacute T wave which will be broad, asymmetrical, tented, and there will be dynamic changes. T wave will be inverted very frequently in an unstable angina, and ST segment depression with T wave inversion will be very common in a non-STEMI, while ST segment elevation with T wave changes will be more common in STEMI. Chest pain, classical chest pain of unstable angina or acute coronary syndrome, good number of time maybe with ECG normal, but still this can be in an early stage of acute MI. Then later on you get a tall T wave and then you get an ST segment elevation. So all ST segment elevation are not STEMI. You must keep that thing in mind. But anytime you get an ST segment elevation, always rule out acute MI and then only think of equivalents or mimics. So ischemic heart disease, history, EKG, biomarkers absolutely is a must. You can take the advantage of echo because there will be regional wall motion abnormality. Particularly when there is an acute infarct, there will be hypokinesia, akinesia, or dyskinesia in a regional wall. EKG will be very, very helpful because there will be J point elevation or depression depending upon ST segment elevation or ST segment depression. ST segment depression will be more common in case of unstable angina and non-STEMI, while ST elevation will be more common in case of STEMI, that is acute MI, and also it will be seen in a case of STEMI equivalent as well as STEMI mimics. Depending upon the morphology of ST segment elevation, at this stage only we will discuss. If you get a concave elevation, it is usually benign, we call in STEMI mimics, while it will be very frequently convex or a flat elevation. It is usually in favor of a STEMI, that is acute MI. If there is ST segment depression, horizontal and down sloping are more in favor of an ischemic heart disease like in unstable angina or a non-STEMI. while upsloping are quite common in case of a tachycardia induced ST changes, very frequently seen in a supraventricular tachycardia, sinus tachycardia, or atrial fibrillation with fast ventricular rate. T wave changes will be also very helpful, because if you get a tall T wave which is broad base, tented, hyperacute, asymmetrical, it is in favor of acute MI. Even T wave which is biphasic, first upward and then downward, again it is in favor of ischemic heart disease, and it is quite common in a Wallens sign type A. While symmetrical T wave inversion, a deep T wave inversion along with ST changes, that is ST depression, will be more in favor of non-STEMI, and maybe also symmetrical T wave inversion may be seen in case of unstable angina, and you can see also symmetrical T wave inversion in a wide number of leads in case of we call cerebral, that is raised intracranial pressure, subarachnoid hemorrhage or intracranial hemorrhage, or also in case of head injury. So do keep this thing in mind. So this is absolutely necessary. So look at J point, look at morphology of ST segment elevation or depression, and then look at what type of ST segment elevation, what type of ST segment depression, and what are the T wave changes. You combine all this, you will be able to pick up whether it is ischemic or non-ischemic, and you should take the advantage of history. Now, if in an ECG you get ST segment changes in the form of elevation or depression, or in the form of T wave changes, and it is in an anatomical area, or we call as a family, or we call contiguous leads, or in continuous leads like L2 L3 AVF, lead 1 AVL V5 V6, V1 to V6 in contiguous leads, will label that as ischemic, and that should be in minimum 2 leads, and that depending upon ST segment elevation will label that as STEMI, or we call ST elevated myocardial infarction. Now there are some fixed criteria which has been given in 2020 revised criteria, that is if there is an ST segment elevation more than 2 millimeter in 2 chest leads, or ST segment elevation in 2 limb leads but that is more than 1 millimeter, and if there is a Q wave appearance of 0.04 second, or we call 1 small square in depth and 1 small square in duration, 0.04 second, it is in favor of STEMI. Also there is one criteria which has been put forward, that is ST depression in V1 V3, which are reciprocal changes of a posterior wall MI, and there is ST depression with a R wave, it will be in favor of what we call as a posterior wall MI. It is a mirror image, or we call reciprocal changes of posterior wall MI, and in that in V7, V8 and V9 you get an ST elevation which is more than 2 millimeter, it will be in favor of a posterior wall MI. If there is left bundle branch block, previously it was mentioned acute left bundle branch block appearance is suggestive of acute ischemia or going in favor of acute MI. Now this terminology has changed. If there is already pre-existing left bundle branch block, or there is an appearance of a new left bundle branch block, and person is having persistent chest pain which is suggestive of an ischemic chest pain, you must look for what we call as Segorbaza criteria. So this is absolutely necessary. As far as a pathological Q wave is concerned, any Q wave in lead V2 and V3 which is more than 0.02 seconds, or there is a QS complex in lead V2 and V3, or if a Q wave is more than 0.3 second and the voltage is more than 0.1 millivolt dip in lead 1, lead 2, AVL, AVF and V4 to V6, means except AVR, lead 3 and V1, V2, V3, you will label that as a pathological Q wave. And if there is an R wave which is more than 0.4 second in V1, V2 and R wave is taller than S wave and there is a concordant positive T wave in absence of conduction defect, do consider this is pathological, and this will be more in favor of RVMI. While when you get an ST depression in V1, V2, V3 with R wave and there is a reciprocal, these are reciprocal changes of posterior wall MI. So this is absolutely necessary. So you have to look at all these criteria in all 12 leads. We don't pay attention to AVR, but at this stage I would like to mention, if there is an ST segment elevation which is more than V1, so there is an ST segment elevation also in V1 and there is an ST segment elevation in AVR, and there are reciprocal changes, means in the form of ST depression in multiple leads, always suspect LMCA occlusion or LAD occlusion. It is of importance. We call as left main equivalent. So same thing, new ST segment at J point elevation in two contiguous leads more than 2 millimeter, 2 millivolt, 0.2 millivolt in a male more than 40 years in V2, V3, or more than 0.25 millivolt in a male less than 40 years in V2, V3, in female more than 0.15 in V2, V3 and 0.1 in all other leads including lead 1, lead 2, lead 3, AVF, AVL and V4 to V6, V4, V5, V6. In presence of LVH and LBBB, you have to be cautious. And if there is an LBBB, you will have to use Segorbaza criteria. So do look for that. STEMI mimics means any cause of ST elevation, MI or acute MI like pattern that is not associated with an actual MI. We label that as an STEMI mimics. Classical example, pericarditis, early repolarization syndromes, those groups. LBBB, RBBB, LVH, RVH, all those groups. So in those groups, that is early repolarization, benign early repolarization, pericarditis, ST elevation is always less than 2 millimeter. While in case of an other, it is usually more than 0.2, 0.25, in female 0.15, and this will be in a chest leads. Now myocardial infarction, that is ST elevated MI, are classified depending upon the pathophysiology and etiology. If there is a spontaneous, it is called type 1. If myocardial infarction is secondary to ischemic imbalance because of severe hypoxia, acute hypoxia, then it is called type 2. If person gets sudden cardiac death when biomarker value are unavailable and on a post-mortem you diagnose this as a myocardial infarction, that is called type 3. Then 4 is divided into A and B. 4A is because of percutaneous coronary artery intervention. So when a person is undergoing PCI and at that time a person develops myocardial infarction, it is called 4A. And when there is a stent which is being put and stent get thrombosed, then it is called 4B. And if the bypass graft gets occluded and person develops myocardial infarction, that is CABG, coronary artery bypass grafting, gets occluded and myocardial infarction is related to that, then it is called type 5. These are the angiographic findings or clinical findings or etiological findings. Now second thing what we look in a ST elevation is a morphology. We already mentioned that if it is concave, it is always in favor of a benign. This is a Osborn wave which you can see. Here you can see a notch. This is called J wave. This is also one variety of a J wave. So this we put into J wave syndrome. This we put into J wave syndromes. This will be very frequently seen in a early repolarization syndromes, and also you can see in a pericarditis. But when you see like tombstone appearance, this is 100% in favor of STEMI. And when you see a small, see this is a J wave with concavity, this is in favor of early repolarization syndrome. And when you get from a J point, you get a downsloping, curved up downsloping with T wave inversion. This is Brugada, and this will be seen in V1, V2, and it may be up to V3. So hump like Osborn waves, concave with J wave, more in favor of benign early repolarization, or we call early repolarization syndrome. Fish-hook sign, again you can see a notch, that will be early repolarization, or in case of pericarditis, tombstone, classical acute MI, and curved like in case of a Brugada. These are all the different varieties. These are ST depression, this is ST elevation, this is mark ST elevation, these are reciprocal changes, this is ST depression. These are all different varieties of ST elevation. This is tombstone variety. This is little concave, little concave. This is convex. So depending upon, you will have to mark out. You will have to mark out. This is concave, this is curved or convex. It is called frowny, this is called smiley. And to mark out, you will have to take from J point to the peak of T wave. Here you can see this is clearly concave. So this will be more benign. While if you draw this line, this is more convex. So this will be more in favor of ischemic heart disease. That is, we call STEM. So whenever it is convex or flat, it is a bad ischemia. But if it is smiley or concave, it is usually benign. So flat and convex, it is a bad ischemia. So you can see this is oblique, this is concave, this is concave, while this is convex. So convex is usually more in favor of STEMI, while concave is more in favor of non-STEMI. So sorry, I will not label non-STEMI but benign, more in favor of STEMI mimics. So ST segment depression, ischemic, ST segment elevation and convex, acute MI, concave, pericarditis and early repolarization. And if you get a J wave, or we call fish-hook appearance in pericarditis and early repolarization. You can see at J point there is a slurred wave. So that is called J wave. And whenever you get J wave, any person is symptomatic, we call J wave syndrome. You can see here there is a small notch, and it is concave. So this is early repolarization. Now look at the distribution. Depending upon the distribution, you can put them into pericarditis, myocarditis, or we call as Takasubo. Now, if it is not following a vascular territory, means we call contiguous slits, it will be more in favor of pericarditis, myocarditis, or Takasubo. But if it is following a particular segments and territory, or we call family, ECG family, then it will be more in favor of ischemic heart disease. Always look at the magnitude of ST elevation, distribution, and reciprocal depression. These three becomes very useful to pinpoint, or we call localization of STEMI. So magnitude, higher the ST elevation, more in favor of STEMI, that is acute MI. So if you get a tombstone appearance, straightforward in favor of acute MI. So this is a very high elevated. So this is a tombstone appearance. You can see a very high elevated. So higher the elevation, more in favor. If say elevation is 1 or 2 millimeter and concave, it will be in favor of early repolarization. So this will be 100% in favor of acute MI. You can see that V2, V3, V4, even in V5. So those will be more in favor. Mark elevation, tombstone appearance. You can see here, mark elevation, V2, V3, V4, V5, very high elevation. Even in V1 also you can consider that. And there are reciprocal changes in lead 2, lead 3, AVF. So do look for reciprocal changes and in which lead. Now little idea regarding a myocardial injury and what we call as ischemia, injury and infarction. Initially, as the blood flow decreases, you will have a T wave inversion. ST segment will be still isoelectric. That we call as a myocardial ischemia. Classical example, stable angina. If you get now severe decrease in the blood supply and little persistent, you will have an appearance of ST segment elevation. Initially tall T wave followed by ST segment elevation. So lack of oxygen supply, ST depression with or without T wave inversion. In injury, you will have a ST prolonged ischemia, ST elevation with or without T wave inversion. And once there is a total occlusion for a longer period and there is no revascularization, person will develop infarct. And in infarct, you will have initially tall T wave followed by appearance of Q wave with ST segment elevation, T wave inversion, and then when it heals completely, you will have Q wave, ST segment isoelectric, and T wave will be upright. So ischemia, injury and infarct. In ischemia, usually ST segment depression with T wave inversion or normal, but at least there will be no Q wave. In injury, usually you will come across ST segment elevation, which may be 1 or 2 millimeter or maybe more than 2 millimeter in two contiguous slits. T wave may be inverted or may be normal. Q wave is possible if there is no early revascularization done, and if there is an infarct, usually in a STEMI you will have a ST elevation, and in case of a non-STEMI you will have a ST depression with or without T wave changes, and in case of a STEMI, in absence of revascularization, you will always have a Q wave. But if revascularization is done, Q wave may not appear. And in a non-STEMI, usually there is no Q wave. So in a non-STEMI, you will not have a Q wave. So STEMI and non-STEMI, So early stage of acute MI we call ischemia. You will have a occlusion of coronary artery with minimal ST segment elevation, and there will be a peak T wave. Once the infarction sets in, you will have a ST segment elevation. T wave changes may be there, may not be there. And when there is an ongoing infarct, after some period, that is 2 to 5 days, ST segment will start coming down, T wave will be inverted, and now you will have appearance of Q wave. And once the fibrosis sets in, there will be pathological Q wave. ST segment will become isoelectric, T wave will be still inverted, and complete healing, Q wave will persist, pathological Q wave will persist, ST segment will be isoelectric, and T wave will become upright. Same thing is seen here. So at 0 hour, during acute chest pain, a person is developing acute MI, T wave will be tall, asymmetrical, broad base, tented, and there will be dynamic changes. Within 1 to 24 hours or 1 day, ST segment will be elevated, Q wave will appear. ST segment will start coming down, Q wave will become more prominent. ST segment will become isoelectric, T wave will be inverted. After few days, that is we call 4 to 5 days, and then after a week, if the healing takes place, then you will have a pathological Q wave with isoelectric ST segment and T wave upright. Same thing is shown here, that is at 1 minute tall T wave, within 1 hour ST segment elevation, then after few hours Q wave appearance with ST segment elevation and T wave may be inverted. After few days, we call pathological Q wave, ST segment will come down, T wave will be still inverted, and when healing is nearly over, you will have a pathological Q wave, ST segment will be isoelectric, T wave will be inverted, and after few months, pathological Q wave, ST segment isoelectric, T wave will be upright. Same thing shown here. Normal, hyperacute, ST segment elevation with T wave inversion, pathological Q wave with ST segment isoelectric, T wave inversion, and completely healed Q wave MI, confirmed Q wave MI, that is pathological Q wave, ST segment isoelectric, and T wave will be upright. But if a proper revascularization is done and that is successful, then you may not have a T wave Q wave appearance when healing takes place, and after healing also Q wave will not appear. So this is what will happen if there is a successful reperfusion, and if you have not done a reperfusion, or while doing a reperfusion it is not complete, or we call failed reperfusion, you will have no, means you will have a persistent pathological Q wave, isoelectric ST segment, and T wave will be upright. Contiguous leads are lead 1 AVL V5 V6, inferior leads are lead 2 lead 3 AVF, anteroseptal are V1 V2, anterior are V3 V4, and lateral are V5 V6. And when you get from V1 to V6, we call as an extensive anterior. When you get lead 1 AVL and V5 V6, we call as the lateral. When you get only changes in lead 1 and AVL, we call high lateral. And there is a permutation combination, that is, if you come across an inferior plus lateral, inferolateral. If there is lead 1 AVL and V1 to V6 extensive anterior wall. If you get in V7, V8 and V9 posterior wall, etc. These are all the terminology which are being utilized. Usually right coronary artery will involve right atrium, inferior wall, right ventricle and posterior wall. So usually right coronary will result into inferior wall or right ventricle or posterior wall, or maybe all together. While left circumflex will be in good number of patients. Inferior wall may be pure right ventricle, posterior wall, but posterior wall will be only in 15% of the people. But inferior wall and right ventricle will be quite common if it is a predominant left circumflex artery, and it will be always involving the lateral wall. So you can have an anterolateral, inferolateral or posterolateral. So lateral wall is most commonly involved. While anterior descending will involve anterior wall, septum, that is anteroseptal, and maybe extensive anterior wall, that is anteroseptal plus lateral. And this is labeled as a widow maker because this involves the major part of left ventricle. So leading to a good number of complications. This is a slide almost most commonly put in good number of CME, etc. So V1, V2 is septal, reciprocal changes will be in V7, V8. Anterior leads are V3, V4 and reciprocal are V8, V9, and in both LAD. Lateral wall is V5, V6, which will be LAD again or left circumflex. High lateral is lead 1 AVL and reciprocal changes will be in lead 2, lead 3 and AVF. And again the artery involved will be LC. Left circumflex more dominant and occasionally in case of LAD occlusion. Inferior wall is L2, L3 AVF and reciprocal changes in lead 1 and AVL. And artery involved is most common is RCA, and if LCX, that is left circumflex, is dominant, it can involve an inferior wall. Right ventricle is always right circumflex artery or right coronary artery, sorry, proximal part of a right coronary artery. So right ventricle, you will get ST elevation in lead 3 and 2, where ST elevation in 3 will be more than 2. And if you get simultaneously ST elevation in V1, do suspect right ventricular infarct. And if you take V4R, you will have a ST elevation. And if you take even V5R and V6R, there will be ST elevation. But in V2, you will have a reciprocal changes in the form of a ST segment depression. In a posterior wall, V7, V8, V9 will be ST elevation, and there will be ST depression in V1, V2 and V3, where R wave will be dominant, or we call R wave will be more than S wave. And here posterior descending artery is more responsible for posterior wall infarct, and if left circumflex is dominant, it can also involve, because basically a posterior descending will be a branch from left circumflex. So posterior wall infarct can be because of posterior descending artery, which may be dominant along with left circumflex. While if you get an ST elevation in AVR and there is no reciprocal changes, always suspect left main stem. But if you get an AVR ST segment elevation with ST segment elevation in V1 and ST elevation in AVR is more than ST elevation in V1 and there are reciprocal changes, always suspect left main coronary artery occlusion. Same thing is mentioned here. At your leisure time you can go through. But most important part, ST elevation should be more than 2 mm in 2 consecutive leads. Then it is in favor of STEMI. If after chest pain there is no ST elevation or there is a spontaneous ST elevation disappears, always suspect Prinzmetal angina, and it is quite common in chest leads. It is more common in chest leads. So this is all what we have mentioned: septal, inferior, lateral, anterior, anteroseptal, then anterolateral and posterior. All terminology, different terminology. So ST segment, this already we have discussed. So few things. ST segment depression is quite commonly seen in an unstable angina, stable angina, non-STEMI, and very rare to get ST segment depression in STEMI. because STEMI means ST elevation, but ST depression will be there as a reciprocal changes of STEMI. So to make a diagnosis, you will require symptom signs, ECG, interpretation, and troponin. In LVH, RVH, bundle branch block, you will have a ST depression with asymmetrical T wave inversion, downsloping ST segment with asymmetrical T wave inversion, quite common in this condition, LVH, RVH, bundle branch block. In reciprocal changes, usually it is in a opposite leads of, say, inferior wall, you will have in lead 1 AVL, in lateral wall you will have in or high lateral you will have on L2 L3 AVF. In a posterior wall it will be in a V1 V2 V3. So you have to look for reciprocal changes, that is ST depression, in those opposite leads. And also there will be ST depression in a non-STEMI with or without T wave changes. In a non-STEMI, very frequently you will have a deep symmetrical T wave inversion in a non-STEMI. In a STEMI and variant angina, you will have a ST elevation. In variant angina, troponin will be negative, while in a STEMI, troponin will be positive. And in variant angina, ST elevation will disappear as soon as the vasospasm is relieved spontaneously or with treatment. If you come across in lead 2, lead 3 AVF, it is always in favor of inferior wall MI. But simultaneously, if you get lead 3 ST segment is more than lead 2, always look for RVMI as well as look for what we call as a true posterior wall MI. And if there is a combination of inferior wall with posterior wall, then we call inferior posterior. If it is with lateral wall, inferior lateral. And in a true posterior wall MI, you will have ST segment elevation in V7, V8, V9, and you will have a reciprocal changes in V1, V2 and V3 in the form of ST depression with T wave upright and R wave taller than S wave, and you will have ST elevation more in lead 3 as compared to lead 2. Do put all this criteria together. So if ST elevation in lead 2, lead 3 AVF is along with ST elevation in V1, and if there is an ST elevation in lead 3 more than lead 2, always keep it in mind RVMI. This all criteria we put them into STEMI equivalence. And if there is an R wave taller than S wave in V1 and there is an ST depression in V1, V2, V3, or there is an ST elevation in V7, V8, V9, keep it in mind, it can be true posterior wall MI. In RVMI, in V1 you will get an ST elevation, but in V2 you will get ST depression. And simultaneously, if you have got an ST elevation in AVR and you have got an ST elevation in V4R, it is RVMI. In V1 you have got an R wave and then you have got a downsloping, chord downsloping ST segment, suspect Brugada. If there is an ST elevation from V1 to V6, if it is in V3, V4, it is anterior. If it is only in V1, V2, it is septal. If it is from V1 to V4, anteroseptal. If it is in lead 1, AVL and V5, V6, lateral. If it is in lead 1, AVL and V5, V6, we call anterolateral. And if it is right from V1 to V6, extensive anterior. These are all the different terms which are being utilized. If you get ST elevation in V5, V6, plus there is an ST elevation in lead 2, lead 3 and AVF, inferolateral. And if there is an R wave with ST depression in V1, V2, do suspect true posterior wall MI. And if this is there with lead 2, lead 3 AVF, inferior posterior, and if it is along with V5, V6 ST segment elevation and V7, V8, V9, then we call infero-posterolateral. All those we have discussed before, same thing is mentioned here. I'll skip this particular part. Now there are few ECGs. You can see in this inferolateral wall, you got ST elevation in inferior wall, as well as you have got ST elevation in V4, V5, V6. And there is a good amount of ST elevation with tall T wave. While in case of an acute pericarditis, it will be in a multiple leads, concave, and ST elevation will be not more than 2 millimeter. That will be in favor of an acute pericarditis. And you will get also simultaneously what we call as a PR segment will be in the opposite direction of ST changes. So if there is an ST elevation, PR will be depressed. If there is an ST depression, PR will be elevated. And this is called knuckle sign. Now, these are some of the ECG which are for quiz. I'm keeping for a while, make an attempt and then only look for. This is Prinzmetal angina, which is producing acute elevation, and later on the ECG becomes normal. In a Prinzmetal angina, you will have a good amount of ST segment elevation, and this will be triggered by exposure to cold or smoking, stress, sometime by hypocalcemia or by cocaine, or maybe spontaneous. And again, person recovers spontaneously or with coronary artery vasodilator drugs. And once there is a vasodilatation, the ECG will become normal. So always keep it in mind. So this is during acute ischemia, and this is after vasospasm is relieved. You can see that it is absolutely normal. Here ST segment is elevated in V1, V2, V3, V4, V5. ST segment is elevated, and you can see in the next ECG, ST segment has become isoelectric and normal. So this is what we call as a classical Prinzmetal angina or variant angina or vasospastic angina. And that is because of vasospasm, which is reversible. So when there is a normal artery, ST segment is normal. Spasm, ST segment elevation. Spasm is relieved, ST segment comes back to normal. That is classical vasospastic angina or Prinzmetal angina. Now in an ST segment elevation, look for associated signs. If there is an hyperacute T wave, more in favor of STEMI. If there is a deep symmetrical T wave inversion, again in favor of STEMI. Pathological Q wave, more than 2 small square in duration and more than 2 small square in depth, always pathological. And always look for reciprocal STT changes in opposite leads. These are associated signs which favors acute MI. Hyperacute T wave inversion, and particularly in V2, V3, if there is a T wave inversion, more in favor of valence sign B. And if there is an appearance of a pathological Q wave, again in favor of STEMI. Reciprocal changes in opposite leads. That is, if there is an inferior wall infarct, you get reciprocal changes in lead 1 and AVN. So that is called reciprocal changes. If there is an PR segment deviation, opposite of ST segment, always suspect pericarditis. At your leisure time, you can go through. You can see very nicely, here PR segment is elevated, here PR segment is depressed. ST segment is elevated, PR segment will be depressed. ST segment is depressed, PR segment will be elevated. So in AVR, always there is a PR segment elevation with ST segment depression. While in other leads, you will have a PR segment depression with ST segment elevation, concavity upward, and at J point, you will have what we call as a fish hook appearance or head hook appearance, etc. Those are the words which are being utilized. So reciprocal changes of L2, L3 AVF will be in lead 1 and AVL, and of lead 1 and AVL, you will have one lead 2, lead 3 and AVF. These are classical reciprocal changes. You can see here, there is an anterior wall infarct, you have got reciprocal changes in lead 2, lead 3 AVF. While in case of inferior wall infarct, this is inferior wall infarct, you have got the reciprocal changes in lead 1, AVL and anterior leads. So these two are opposite. And of V7, V8, V9, you will have a reciprocal changes in V1, V2 and V3. So do keep it in mind. Of RVMI, you will have a reciprocal changes in V2. You must remember where the reciprocal changes are there. So any person who comes to you with a chest pain, make an early diagnosis, call for 108, send him to an emergency department where diagnosis is made and you start doing a reperfusion. So transfer him to as early as possible to the place where PCI facilities is available. And if PCI facilities is not available, at least start reperfusion by using thrombolysis. And if a PCI facilities is available, do thrombolysis and send him to a PCI center. So it is said that emergency to a balloon time should be less than 90 minutes. While emergency to balloon time or door to balloon time should be as early as possible, say in first 60 minutes. These are all the different types of algorithms which you should follow. These are all the different ECG. I'm going through one by one. I'm keeping for some time. This is a quiz for you. Try to identify where are the ST changes, where are the reciprocal changes, what type of ST changes, whether it is STEMI, whether it is non-STEMI, or whether it is non-ischemic or STEMI equivalent, STEMI mimics. Try to answer. This is case 1, 50-year-old male, old female. This is 60-year-old female. You got two groups of ECG, and these are enlarged part of what we call as a V1, V2 to V6. So go through, take a paper, answer, and try to find out how much accurate you are. This is case 3, 38-year-old male. This is case 4, 60-year-old female. This is 60-year-old female. Go through, answer properly. Whatever finding you come across, try to answer. And this is case 6, 50-year-old male. This is case 7, 47-year-old male. So at the end of this lecture, I thank you all for taking out time. I know that your time is valuable, and I appreciate you that you have spent some time with me. I feel this lecture will be very useful to you, particularly to the 4th year student in exam going, oral exam as well as theory exam. And whenever you go for your private practice or you are doing a job in ICU or intensive coronary care unit, or you are doing a job in an acute care unit, or you see a patient in your private practice, you've done an ECG, it will be very, very helpful. And if you feel that it is helpful, do press button like, subscribe, and you can share with your friends to whomever it is helpful. You should take an advantage of that. So I end my lecture here. See you in next lecture, that is STEMI equivalent, STEMI mimics, and STEMI depression, ST depression.